welcome to yet another episode of Healthful 360. Leo tunaangazia ugonjwa wa osteoporosis. Tunamkaribisha tena Mr. Atina ama Mr. Joshua Migiro Atina ambaye ataangazia ugonjwa huu kwa kindani, na zaidi ya vyote kumbuka tuna segment ya pili ambayo inaangazia ugonjwa huu tunaojua ni kutoka na lishe, atakavyotuelezea zaidi ya hivyo, na tutakaposoma haya tungojee sehemu ya pili ambao pia tutasoma zaidi jinsi ya lishe hii atayoizungumzia tutaitumia ama tutaweza kujimudu vipi nyumbani katika lishe bora. Karibu sana Mr. Atina, ukiweza kuangazia osteoporosis siku ya leo, na pengine nikiwa mmoja wao, na swali ya kwanza ni what is osteoporosis?
In a condition is a condition of fragile bone with an increased susceptibility to fracture. Yani ni rahisi sana kupata kufunjika kwa mguu. And it's a condition normally which when we talk of the bone mass, that's the bone density decreases at the age of 35 and above. And the bone loss occurs more rapidly in women after menopause. And we will see what is this menopause and how is it related with the osteoporosis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's more on women. Women are more prone, huh?
Yeah, women are more prone, particularly at the age of 35 and above. Okay. Although there are those who can even stay before they go to menopause, they go at 55 or so. Mm-hmm. Not all of them, but from.
What causes, what makes that age to be more prone, and what makes women to be more prone?
There's some kind of hormone we call estrogen. Estrogen at the menopause, you don't have it. Yeah. And that one is part of what makes one prone to fractures. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, some of us genetically, we've inherited that tendency in our family. If not that, it could be some of us never take enough calcium. Calcium, we get it from milk, we get it from eggs, we get it, There are those substances where we get the calcium from. We don't get enough of them, and that's what makes the bone density strong. Mm-hmm. Then it is prone to be lighter, and any pressure on it can cause a fracture.
So should someone start taking calcium at a particular age, or should that have begun from the zero age when someone...
From zero age, right? Yeah. From the time when the mother is expectant. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's when the formation of the bones begins.
Bones starts.
Okay, you talked about bone density. Yeah. Bone density pengine unaweza elezea ni nini? Ni uzito wa mifupa ama?
Yeah, it's like we call it the bone mass or a bone density because ile uzito wa mifupa.
Okay. Yeah. Na pia is it there are some conditions, as we continue checking and looking into this program, that probably by research and with research have been shown to probably take calcium from the bones and such like. Maybe can that also be part of a cause to osteoporosis?
Yeah, that's the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The lifestyle underlying conditions.
Lifestyle of an individual. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about preventable measures. How can someone prevent, getting to a certain, apart from that aspect of the mother should have actually eaten well akiwa mjamzito, ndio mtoto akikua na akilelewa mifupa yake yaweze kuwa na nguvu. Sasa mtu atafanyaje? Amejipata mifupa yake haina udhabiti, na pengine ni mwanamke, estrogen yake iko juu zaidi pia unavyoelezea. What do you do to prevent?
We have supplements which you can use. You need to do exercises to make your bones strong. You need to avoid alcohol consumption. You need to avoid poor nutrition diet, because you can see we keep on rotating on nutrition of mothers and the diets. And there could be some other conditions like malabsorption. You may take all the balanced diet, but then in terms of observation in the body, it is not taken all of it accordingly in your body. Or there could be some history of people smoking, that also lowers the density of the bone. And also the last one is history of rheumatoid arthritis. or raw part weight. Yeah. So those are some of the areas we need to avoid if we don't want to become susceptible to such conditions.
Pengine ungetuelezea fafanua between arthritis and osteoporosis. Is there a similarity? Kuna uhusiano ama kuna tofauti kabisa?
Kuna tofauti kabisa. Arthritis, you may get everything is okay, but it's inflammation of the bones. Like if you can see there is a board, the bone rotates inside the joints. And if it is inflamed, ikifura, now inagusana. Na kugusana, that's what causes the pain. And ndani ya mifupa, there is some fluid, synovial fluid. Hiyo fluid ina act kama grease. When we don't have that grease, then you are likely to have, it's like when you put chuma kwa chuma, it causes friction. And then now it causes arthritis. Lakini when there is enough fluid, it will avoid that friction where it is bone to bone. Yeah. So the bone might be okay, but there's friction. But when we are talking of osteoporosis, we are talking of bone density, mass, the weight yake, uzito wake. It means that's where the problem is. Hii ingine, it can be intact, kila kitu is okay, but the problem is there is inflammation. There is an infection which causes that, or you don't have enough fluid which can act like grease in between the joints.
Yeah, ni kama friction yenyewe.
Kama friction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pengine ungetuelezea sijui signs, mtu atajuaje anaelekea kupata ugonjwa wa osteoporosis? How do you get to know what are some of signs of some symptoms?
Part of it is like if you are prone to, also it's not only for ladies also, even for men.
Some men,
okay, they have lower testosterone level, and once that one goes that direction, they are also prone to that. Patients who have cancer and they are undergoing chemotherapy, where those strong drugs, they are prone to that. Patients who have amenorrhea, loss of a menstrual period, particularly those who are young and are associated with low estrogen, they can easily get osteoporosis. And also chronic arthritis or diseases such as rheumatic heart disease or liver diseases. All of those are patients who are prone to getting rheumatic osteoporosis.
So those are the ones that are at risk,
yeah,
of actually getting affected to osteoporosis. But how would someone know, probably, how would someone know so that they can actually be able to prevent it? How would they know the signs and symptoms to tell you, you know what, you're getting to that, you know, angle, or should I say that peak, whereby now you can be called a person suffering from osteoporosis?
When you compare these patients with others, yeah, these are patients who are easily get fractures easily. When you compare it with others, others can jump over a given height and they are intact, but this one can jump a smaller height and still get a challenge. Yeah.
So more the bones, since they don't have enough density,
yeah, they don't have to resist.
Easy
so
breakage.
They are prone to fractures.
Okay, fractures. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe I don't know whether there are any myths that are associated with this condition in any of our our culture and community.
In our culture, particularly, I can remember the Kisi community. There was a time the old men, those old days, men sat down and discussed as how they can safeguard their chicken. So they came up and said, from today, kuanzia leo, it has been decided ya kwamba hakuna mwanamke anatakiwa kula yai wala kuku. Na yoyote atakula ataanza kuruka kama kuku. It has been researched and been discovered like that.
By the men?
Yeah, by the men. And because women were not doing most of the research, they also believed that ukila kuku utaanza kufurahi like kama kuku. And mayai na vitu kama hivyo. And then at the end of the day, they were not accessible to eggs among the calcium which they were supposed to be exposed to. So at the times, some of the meats which we have, we need to research them, we need to think about it in terms of health and not in terms of economy alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if there's anything I've left out on osteoporosis that maybe you feel like someone should really get to know this before they go
Among
home.
others also, some of the drugs which are used, like heparin, we have some drugs, even misused, they can easily cause that. Heparin, phenytoin, these are medical drugs. So medical drugs should be dispensed by the qualified staff who knows for how long you are supposed to take those drugs and for how long you should not take them, because you can easily be exposed to osteoporosis.
In the era of over-the-counter drug.
Yeah, with the era of the over-the-counter drugs.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Atina, for coming to the show and getting to expound a little bit of what osteoporosis is and who is more prone. One thing that most people have been asking is that it's only prone to women, you know.
No, it's prone to both men and women, but more women are, most women are more prone than men.
Okay, and again, you went back to the issue of diet. We need to check our diet, but most women who, as they give birth, they need to know the 0 years a child should exactly at that 0 age should be given calcium before they are born.
Through their diet, so that it goes to the baby to build their bones.
Okay, and that goes a long way until they grow older.
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. for coming into the show and enlightening us on osteoporosis. We get to the next segment where we get to learn more practically from a nutritionist on, yes, the answer is you need calcium, or you need more calcium, or you have a deficiency of calcium and that's why you're suffering from osteoporosis. Swali ni je, ni calcium kiasi kipi unachohitaji kwa mwili wako ili mifupa yako ikaweze kuwa na calcium inayotosha. Because most of the times the question comes, how much do I need per day? So we get to the next section. Do not go away. We'll be talking to a nutritionist who will give us practical aspects of how much you need every day partaking of calcium for the bone health of you. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Hello, Karibu. Welcome for our Healthful 360 program. We've just been out a little bit on a short break after speaking to Daktari, and I promised that on our second segment we are talking to Daktari wa Lishe Bora ambaye ni Mrs. Rachel Serem, who's going to take us a little bit through of osteoporosis, which is the condition we are discussing about today. And I would like to, without further ado, welcome her immediately so that we get to it. Karibu sana, Daktari, Mrs. Rachel Serem. We want to understand osteoporosis in regards to Lishe Bora. Daktari mentioned a little bit that it's a lifestyle condition and it can be curbed. Take us through it. What do we need to do?
Well, I'll start by giving you some statistics. In Canada, US, Denmark, New Zealand, they have the highest rates of osteoporosis. And what is common among those countries? They use a lot of dairy products, a lot. New Zealand, even Australia. So all the countries that use a lot of dairy products, the osteoporosis is much higher compared to all other countries. So when we say here in Kenya, especially Rift Valley, Eldoret, where we are, they also use dairy. But mostly here in Eldoret, they use milk. And maybe the next one is Masiwa Mala. So it's still milk. But in those places, they put milk in everything. They use milk, they use cheese, they use ice cream. So a lot of products, the cakes, they use a lot of products for using dairy. So and we have this, and my profession teaches that milk has a lot of calcium. Does it? Yes.
Yeah, that's the question. We always have this.
Does milk have a lot of calcium?
Yeah.
If you ask anybody anywhere in the world, they will say yes. And I also will say yes. So why am I talking about? So osteoporosis is a process, as we had Daktari talking about it,
Yeah.
where the bones become so weak and brittle.
Yeah.
So if somebody falls down, they can easily break. So without going into all these medical
Terminologies
and processes in that is really it. So that means the bones are not strong. So what makes strong bones? Calcium. We all agree that calcium makes the bones strong. So what is it? Why they drink milk and they have very weak bones? Why? So the issue is there's lack of calcium really going in the bones. So what happens is, even though, let me go to the milk first. In a glass of milk, there's a lot of calcium, but the body does not get all the calcium that there is in a glass. What you get is about 25% of the calcium that you drink from in one glass. You only get 25% of the calcium.
25%.
25%.
Wow.
The body is not able to absorb all the calcium that is available in the milk. So you're not getting actually a lot of calcium to begin with. And then, so where do we get the highest calcium? In what's called the brassicas. This sukuma wiki belongs to a group of vegetables that's called the brassica. And the brassicas are sukuma wiki, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, even canola. So that family of, anything that when you cut and ukifunika hivi, when you open it, there's that sulfur thing, because it's very high in sulfur. If we cut this one now and block it like this in a short time, that very unpleasant sulfur taste will be there. So this one has a lot of, will give you more calcium compared to the milk, a lot more, because the body is able to absorb the calcium in this more than the calcium.
Where do goats, because they don't take milk, goats, goats are nyama too. People say they have good bone soap. Where do they get is that what probably I'm getting from this, that they eat a lot of vegetables?
That's where I was coming to actually, because now let's look at the huge animals. We have the elephant.
Yeah.
The elephant persists on plants. It's a vegan. The giraffe,
you have the hippopotamuses.
The giraffe is a vegan.
The rhinos.
All those huge, with the exception of the lion and a few others, these big animals, they have strong bones from that. So the lion actually gets its strong bones by eating eating another animal that eats grass and plants. Because the food of the elephant is mainly the vegetarians.
Yeah.
So you can get all your calcium from
vegetables.
Yes, there's no question about that.
Yeah, someone is asking probably, okay, if I'm getting a lot from the vegetables and probably 25% in one glass, does it happen together if we are talking about children as well, or they have an enzyme, or they are able to actually digest the milk that comes from cows?
Actually, that's I don't know how I can answer that, but in a nutshell, milk is not good for children, really, because first of all, it gives them all the allergies. That phlegmy thing, that's makamasi, that comes all the time through. It's because of milk drinking. So milk is the biggest allergen that is known in the scientific world, both medical and the food sciences. Milk is an allergen. So it causes most of these allergies. If you have asthma, anybody, all our listeners, anybody that has asthma, please stop drinking milk. Asthma will just disappear.
It's a lot of mucus generation.
The respiratory issues is because of milk. So, and once you stop, we don't need another another intervention.
Yeah, yeah.
The asthma will just disappear. So if you or a friend has asthma, stop taking milk. The problem, the body will heal itself out of that condition.
Which body organs actually require more calcium apart from the bones? Is there any other body organ that really requires calcium?
The bones, the teeth, the nails, our hair.
The hair?
And even the muscles. The muscles need some calcium. So you need calcium. In fact, if you look at it, it's one of those. In the minerals, there's the macro and the micro.
Yeah.
So calcium is among the macro minerals that's needed. It's a very necessary element.
So pengine nauliza, kuna mtu anauliza swali tu kama mimi hapa haya nala mboga nala majani haya, lakini sasa swali ni nitapika vipi? Is there a way I can cook and I finish everything in terms of nutrients?
Not everything. There are some vitamins that are heat sensitive, and there are some vitamins that are not. So, for example, vitamin C. If you cook in this mboga sai, vitamin C will be lost. There are some minerals that are heat sensitive. Magnesium, potassium, for example, is heat sensitive. Ukaweka tu mboga kwa moto. Even if you had magnesium here, it will disappear. So the vitamins and minerals have some are heat sensitive, some are not. So if you really want to have a wholesome thing, make a salad. So tengeneza salad, and the easiest way to make a salad is tengeneza kachumbari. Si kila mtu anaelewa kachumbari.
Lakini sasa tunatengeneza kachumbari fulani hapo hivi. Kuna nyanya, kitunguu, pilipili, na pengine kitu kidogo tu hivi cha kuongezea tu kama pengine ndania. Bas, hiyo ndio kachumbari tunaielewa. Kuna kachumbari nyingine?
Hapana, kachumbari hiyo ni sawa. Kitu moja tu ndio imebaki, avocado.
On that kachumbari.
Wale wanatumia avocado. So ukitengeneza kachumbari, alafu uweke avocado, and then unaweka mboga na ndimu. Wengine wanaweka ndimu kwa kachumbari. Kama ushaweka ndimu kwa kachumbari, hakuna kuweka ongeza. Lakini kama hakuna, unaongeza, and then tengeneza, hiyo itakuwa salad.
Okay.
Na hiyo salad sasa itakuwa ya sukuma wiki, itakuwa ya cabbage, managu, all the green leaf vegetables. Unaweza tengeneza hivi. Na sasa hapo hautakuwa umepoteza.
So hizo unazikatakata tu, pengine kama carrot vile unazigrit vivi kidogo kidogo tu unazichanganya.
Ni hivyo.
Hivyo tu.
Yes.
So ukila hivyo pengine unaweza kula na a big serving of maybe ugali.
In fact,
with
yes,
salad.
Kama hata saa hii, when we do our demonstrations, tutakula ugali na hiyo salad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Na hakuna mtu mwenye ame-complain.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I would like to ask one very crucial question.
Yes.
Taking milk is not that very very highly recommended because of the things that it comes with it. But probably we can also say there's also that issue of how we are also feeding our animals. That can also be another argument to bring on table. But then maybe I would like to ask how or what should I use as an alternative? Basi pengine situmii maziwa ya ng'ombe, ama situmii ya mbuzi, ama situmii pengine ya ngamia kwa ile natumia. Nitatumia nini sasa? What is the alternative?
Well,
kabla tujafika pale, we need to go for a short break. And when we come back on this beautiful short break, I want you to think about, what do you think? What do you guess? Daktari anaweza akasema pengine ni alternative to the milk that we take from animal products. We need to reduce and we need to eliminate as much as we can. But what is the alternative? We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Healthful 360, and we had a short break when we were discussing osteoporosis and some of the foods that we can take. We've learned one thing today, that vegetables have high content of calcium, and osteoporosis is caused by lack of calcium in our bones. They become fragile and starts to break very easily. So we welcome again Mrs. Rachel Surem, who's been taking us through Lishe Bora or nutrition, she's a nutritionist and a dietitian. And before we went for our short break, with the question that I asked, na nikasema mwende nyumbani mfikirie what could be the alternative, ama ni mbadala upi, ama tunawezaje tupata mbadala tu katika maziwa ili tuweze kutumia maziwa mengi. We have a variety of milk. Bas, daktari tuambie, what other maybe alternatives do you have for animal product milk?
Well, we should say this, there are many varieties, but remember it's not, the taste of milk is different when you get it from different things. So we have soy milk. Soya tunapanda hapa nchini Kenya. Most of it in the western part of the country, and you can get them so easily. So 1 cup of soya can give you 2 liters of milk. And soy milk is drinkable. I think you have a glass there. You want to taste and tell the audience how it is? So that's soy milk.
It's almost like you're drinking tea without even having to put water or anything, or maybe chocolate or whatever other drinking thing. Just feels very rich.
You can make it any flavor that you like, as long as you don't add sugar, because sugar is something that we want to avoid. Actually, maybe I need to mention it here now that I mentioned sugar. There are a few things that needs to be avoided for good health.
Yeah.
Animal products, sugar, and fat.
Processed fats, yeah?
Yes. And the others are inevitable. You eat it in the vegetables anyway. Anything that is processed is not good. So now among the vegan or vegetable milks, we have soy milk that we have tasted today. We have almond milk, all the nuts, almond, Brazil nuts, macadamia
the
nuts,
cashew
nuts. Those ones can produce the milk. And then we can have milk from the seeds, like hemp seed can give us milk, sunflower seeds can give us milk.
Sunflower can do when they're black, or the milk will look black, or how will it look?
They will look white.
Wow, okay.
Simsim seeds can give us milk. So you have a variety up to.
And these nuts you're mentioning, they have high calcium content, yeah?
They do. They do. Nuts are and they are high in fat. So you have to watch out, especially things like cashew nuts. The best in the nuts, the best milk in the nuts actually is the almonds in the nut family. Otherwise, you have to use them in moderation. It's, all the nuts are high in fats, so you have to.
You come back to the principles of health. Everything has to be on temperance.
Pay attention. That's
okay.
Right. Pay attention to that.
So maybe I would like to ask, someone is asking, do we also go back to the principle of depending with your body structure, then the content of calcium that you require for your bones to actually be stabilized or be strong is not the same for everybody, but it's different depending on certain things?
That will be very difficult and frustrating to follow, but the foods, as wholesome as they are, the body knows the amount of calcium that it needs. So, and the excess will always be given out. But excess calcium also can give us a problem, though. The gallstones, kidney stones, those ones. I remember in the 80s when I was doing nursing, the problem that we had, most of the operations that we had in Eldoret Hospital, was kidney stones, and the Kalenjins were the ones that were drinking milk. Our neighbors, the Luyas, did not have those problems, but now that most of them have moved, some that moved to Eldoret, and the Easterners, the Kikuyus that moved to Eldoret, now they are facing the same problem because they are drinking milk like the natives of Eldoret. So, and they have problems with kidney stones and gallstones.
Okay.
Because those are excess calciums that the body cannot
No,
use.
the same way you said, when you have sugar, it is stored in some form, and when you have a lot of fat, it is stored in some form. So when you have more calcium, it is stored in form of stones.
Yes, and it's a real stone.
Yeah.
In fact, if it is in an operation, it's a real stone.
A real stone.
because the body cannot use it, so it calcifies and becomes a stone. So we have those ones.
I would like our viewer to keep on watching, just to ensure that we're going to watch more about gallstones, so they will learn more about gallstones when you get back to that. So you can go ahead in terms of how these stones can be eliminated as well.
There are some foods that when you incorporate into your diet, it will actually reduce or even flush out the gallstones if they are small. And we will go into that when we get to the gallstones. So now, so you are not gonna miss the milk. If your issue was say, so if I quit cow milk, what else will I drink? There are so many kinds of milk. In fact, there's one of my favorite writers in the 1800s actually said, you know, in that time in the 1800s, they were actually talking about flesh foods becoming a problem. So it said, when I paraphrase and said, now is not the time to quit milk, but the time is coming when milk will not be good to drink. And when that time comes, you will know. And the way to know it is when you see other alternatives, milks available worldwide of milk. So I said, well, this is America, first world, so is it in Kenya?
Growing, yeah.
So I came to Kenya in 2012. So, and I found coconut milk, I found soy milk, I found cashew milk, I found hemp seed milk. So I was like, oh, so it's time to quit cow milk, because now we have these other alternatives.
So for the alternatives to come, it means probably there's something that has been discovered in regards to that it probably might not be working with the normal milk that we've been used to earlier, and that's why probably watu sasa wameanza kupata mbinu mpya za kuweza kutengeneza maziwa kutoka pengine mimea fulani tu, ili tukaweza kupata pengine nutrients zingine hatuzipati kwa maziwa yale ambayo ni pengine ni ya animals. Pengine sasa tunaweza tukazungumzia kuhusu this calcium that we need for osteoporosis curbing and all osteoporosis management for that matter. Mtu anawezaje jua pengine vyakula hivi, because there are people who are like saying, of course, like you mentioned, you can't just take calcium alone. You need some other mineral to actually segment it, just like kujenga nyumba. Uwezi ukajenga tu bila sementi, bila ballast ama nini, lazima ziwe pamoja. Sasa pengine calcium inataka nutrients zipi ama minerals zipi ikaweze pia kupata nguvu ya kuweza kuingia kwenye mishipa hii ama kwenye mifupa?
Good question. So calcium will need the vitamins like vitamin D, and God is God is so merciful, because ameweka haya yote, the most necessary things ameweka kwa mimea. As I said, in our sukuma wiki you get that calcium, in our sukuma wiki you get the vitamin D, in vitamin E, C and all the rest, and then kwa jua, tunaishi in a place where we get sunshine all the time, we get vitamin D. So that is all you need. It is so easy to get calcium. Calcium is not one of those things that is difficult to find. It's in almost everything that we put into our mouth. That's not really an issue.
Okay, but then probably there are those, like you mentioned, there are those minerals that actually assisted to actually get into the bones and effectively be there. So maybe probably you can tell us about, in terms of when someone finds themselves with the, with the excess, like you mentioned, calcium that brings about the stones, what can they do? Because that means probably now gallstones will start coming in, kidney stones, of course, that will affect the kidneys, and you know what happens when kidneys have been destroyed. So mtu afanye nini sasa ili akaweze pengine kukaa mbali na mambo kama ya kuwa na calcium nyingi mwilini? How do you measure? I don't want to call it prescriptional, but how do you measure too much is too much?
Well, first of all, it's difficult to measure. You can't measure at home and say, okay, I ate this kuma, it has given me so much. While we can actually have an average and say in a cup of milk, there's so much calcium. But who's going to be measuring all that? So the principle is this: eliminate the products that will produce too much calcium. Yes, the too much calcium that we are talking about is actually the calcium that is found in milk. Yes.
Okay.
So eliminate that because the body is not able to process it, and most of it end up in storage most of the time. So eliminate that. The calcium that is found in plants, we have never heard of calcium deposits because somebody was vegan or vegetarian. So these ones are safer. The body is able to process this calcium from plants or any other mineral. Only calcium.
Okay.
So all the minerals that we need are really, they work well. The body can assimilate those and use them.
Okay.
The only problem, that's why I was saying, the other problem that we have in osteoporosis is because when there is also, when there is too much acid, all the cooking that we do, that you had talked about preparation food, cooking most of our vegetables and the root vegetables like the sweet potato, the potatoes, they produce an acidic environment in the stomach. And if your blood becomes acidic, then the body will remove calcium from the bones to neutralize it.
To neutralize the acid in the blood.
So it starts leaching the calcium out of your bones, and that's why they become so brittle. So most of these, so all the animal products, the meat and all that, they cause acidity.
So the blood has to be alkaline all the time.
Close.
So,
yes.
if it's not alkaline, then it will look for how to alkalinize itself.
Yeah, always balance.
One way is getting the calcium from the bones.
Yes.
Inapotoa pengine calcium, madini ya calcium kutoka kwenye mifupa, basi inakuwa alkalinized, but mifupa inakuwa jeopardized, ama inaweza kukosa nguvu ile ya kustahimili uzito wa mtu. Yanaanza kubreak, amba anaanza kuvunjika tu.
That's right.
Wow. Okay. It's good to learn about osteoporosis and the foods that have really been messed around in terms of ensuring that we reach to a point whereby someone can be diagnosed of osteoporosis, and some of the do's and probably of the don'ts that you've talked about. And I hope, viewer, probably we are going to be looking at how to ensure that we try these alternatives that will help us actually go back to where we were. Because health is not something that we didn't have from the beginning. We had it, but apparently we messed it up somewhere. So when you learn the mess, fix the mess. And fixing the mess is going back to the basics. Well, thank you for joining us for today on our episode discussing osteoporosis. I'm MIRIAM KANYUGO, and our sign interpreter has been Peter Kanyumbati. And I would like to leave you with these few words. As you look at the screen, we get to live together.
Sufficient sleep, exercise, healthy food, friendship and peace of mind are necessities, not luxuries. This is by Mark Harprin.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Until next time, do have yourself a wonderful viewing, stay healthy, and may God bless you.